Hey everyone, Mike Miller, Herald Times, joined by columnist Jeremy Price here at Assembly Hall after Indiana's 69-46 loss to Michigan. It's sixth straight now for Indiana. This seemed to be the nadir of this current stretch. It was as bad of a performance as you could probably call for. The 17-0 start for Michigan. Indiana missed its first 10 shots. Just completely out. Whatever. It was out everything. I mean, it was bad. It was bad basketball. It was bad effort. It was bad everything. I mean, the place was booing Indiana. Not even 5 minutes into this one, and rightfully so. I mean, it was just a really poor performance, which begs the question: how does a team that has already been stuck in the mud now for a solid month at this point, how does it come out looking like that? I mean, really right now Indiana's wrestling with a very, very wide disconnection. It seems from coaches to players, players to coaches. It just doesn't seem like anyone in this program really understands each other right now. And that seems to be the hurdle to cross moving forward.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, to answer how, I mean, I wish I knew. I mean, it's really, really inexplicable to come out the way they did tonight in this kind of game, in this kind of situation, knowing where they're at and really the opportunity this game presented to them. I was watching Archie Miller ahead of the game, and normally he's fairly laid back, giving some instructions or whatever. I mean, he was like pacing the sideline like a caged lion over there before this game started, just kind of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then we had the shot clock malfunction 7 seconds into the game, and it turned out that was a portent of things to come, basically.
I don't think this could have been a more embarrassing night for Indiana basketball, frankly.
Yeah.
You have a national television audience, your arena doesn't work, your team doesn't work, nothing worked, everything was broken.
It was a total malfunction, there's no doubt about that. But yeah, just for this team to come out and lack any kind of fire, any kind of resolve, any kind of passion, energy, anything you want to say. I mean, like you said, I mean, they earned every bit of the boos that were rained down upon them, and it's for the lack of effort, it's for the lack of basketball fundamentals, it's for the lack of basically caring as much as the people that took the time to attend this game care about this team. And it's not the first time we've said these kind of things over the past few years. I feel like I'm repeating myself to a certain extent, but I don't know if it's just going to take getting all of Archie's guys in here for something to change as far as that goes, because as far as the upperclassmen on this team, I mean, clearly if they get it, and Juwan Morgan says a lot of the right things, and you want to believe him, but yet he doesn't seem able to translate that or pull his teammates with him in that belief, and that's a problem for this team right now. There's a whether it's a disconnect or just a vacuum of leadership or whatever the case may be, it just doesn't get what it takes to succeed, bottom line.
It's tough. I mean, it seems like, especially upperclassmen-wise, it's a team of, I think, good kids. I think kids who I think to some degree think they get it or want to get it. But again, it's that disconnection that has been really hard to solve, whether it's been leadership, whether it's been just executing some of the fundamentals that this team lacks, whether it's been executing an offense. And we can get on the offense now because I don't know what they're running. I don't know what they're doing at this point. They've missed a lot of shots, and I think missed shots could go a long way to fixing a lot of things, or whether cosmetically or otherwise, or just giving you some more pep in your step to go further, execute, and make plays after you get a couple shots falling. But right now, it seems to be a team that is I don't know. I don't know what the fix is. I don't know exactly where they went wrong. But it's very clearly, I mean, you score 46 points on your home floor. I don't know exactly where the problem exactly lies with this offense. I mean, it's not good.
It lies a lot of places. As my favorite word Archie used was inept to describe the offense tonight, because that was certainly it. But it kind of, all these things sort of roll together. Obviously defensively they're not where they need to be, especially to start games, just in terms of the effort and energy, and so that causes problems offensively. And I feel like offensively it's the same thing. There's not an attack mindset. There was no attack mindset until they got down 17-0 tonight, and it basically took Al Durham coming in off the bench, and he just started going to the basket and doing nothing else, just going to the basket. And there's nobody on this team that really does that. And if this team needs to just pound the ball inside to Juwan Morgan to start a game to get things kick-started, then do it. I mean, I know Juwan doesn't want to be the guy that takes 20 shots, and he wants to be, I think he called himself a pass-first center the other night, and he wants to be unselfish and help his teammates get in the game. But, I mean, at this point, we don't. This team doesn't have time for that kind of nonsense. It's got to get in the game from the get-go, or it's going to be down and out because this team doesn't have the firepower to keep trying to come back from 15, 17 points down to start every game. So, everything works in tandem. A lot of times we want to isolate. There's a problem here. There's a problem here, but all these things work in a circle. And when you don't have the effort and the energy in one portion of your game, it translates to the other portion of your game, and it just becomes a vicious cycle. And Archie Miller talks about this team not having confidence and all those things, and all that's true. Obviously, making a few shots would help in some regards, but you sort of have to create your own confidence. And if you don't have that to start a game, where's it going to come from? I mean, if you're relying on 17,000 people at Assembly Hall to provide you with the energy and the want to and the desire, if it takes them getting angry to get you angry, then what are we doing here exactly? Because it shouldn't take 17,000 people to get you motivated, basically. I mean, you would think that all the hours you spend in practice, the time you spend in strength and conditioning, the time you spend in film study, all the things you're doing here throughout a week to get ready to play a game, that the game would be at the top of the list of things to do. And sometimes it seems like this team comes out and it's just filling a couple hours on, in this case, Friday night.
Yeah, and I think it's certainly one of the most unfortunate things for this night. Certainly the 17,000 plus who came out this is a building that wanted to erupt. You could tell for so long it was just bubbling and it was building and it was waiting for that run to happen. And there are certain points. I mean, IU cuts it to 9. 4 minutes into the second half, but every time they had those moments, you go back on the defensive end, and it's Brzdakis hitting a 3. It's whomever cutting to the basket, getting these easy looks. Again, you're just not able to piece these stretches together. I mean, you have 4 assists, and granted, you only had 16 field goals overall.
Yeah.
But it just there's just a lot. A lot just isn't fitting in place. Now, and that's obvious. It doesn't take any sort of savant to figure that out. But it's right now. You're still though. It's still only January. Unfortunately, this team does just seem to be showing exactly who it is, and that is not a very good team. You do have a course of recovery in the second half of the season, though. But again, it's up to, I think, the coaching staff to figure out their methods aren't working for this group. You can be hard and fast, I think, with teams and your own personal philosophies. I think that's in some ways admirable to kind of install those philosophies, certainly in year 2 of a program. But for this team right now, this season is salvageable. I think his coaching staff has to look themselves in the mirror and figure out what can they do better, what can they tweak. And two, these players also have to look themselves in the mirror, as you touched on, and figure out what exactly they want from this season moving forward.
Yeah, and to that end, I mean, I think I and a lot of other people were really, frankly, surprised that Archie Miller stuck with those starters as long as he did, given the way they came out tonight. I mean, if ever there was a game screaming to just sub 5 guys out and put 5 new guys in, this was it. And I realize the bench is depleted and the options aren't plentiful, and there's probably not an ideal lineup to plug in, but you still could have run Al Durham, Demezy Anderson, Clifton Moore, Drake Forrester, and Evan Fitzner out there and just sat the first 5 guys and said, look, if you're not going to give the effort, I can run this out there because this could hardly get any worse. I mean, whatever that lineup might offer you, it couldn't be any worse than the 17-0 that the starting lineup was giving you. The turnovers, the missed shots, the giving up layups on defense, the miscommunications on pick and rolls. I mean, pretty much if you could do it wrong, they did it wrong. So, at some point, you'd like to think that this coaching staff would just, if you got to pull the plug on a few guys, then pull the plug on a few guys. I don't know. Something's got to get through to them. And I realize, and I respect what Archie Miller said postgame, which is that he doesn't want to play tricks and try and gimmick guys into doing things or whatever. And I understand that, where you're coming from on that. But sometimes it's not a gimmick to just playing time is the ultimate motivator. And if nothing else is going to get somebody's attention, that's the bottom line. So, I don't know if that's going to happen. It seems unlikely at this point that that's going to happen, at least not yet. But who knows?
Yeah. Who knows exactly? That's exactly right. After a very road-heavy start to this month, there was no soft landing here, and then you're back on the road for 2 more in a row now. You had to Rutgers, which Rutgers is I don't think any pushover right now.
No.
And then you're obviously going to Michigan State, a game here. I think they're probably getting waxed at Michigan State, but then you come home and maybe then at some point you have an opportunity to figure out, but also you also wonder where's morale, where is the fabric of this team at that point after 2 more games on the road. Again, I don't know exactly where this team goes from here. This is more of a self-reflection point for this group right now.
Yeah. The question is this rock bottom, or are we still on the way to rock bottom? Because it's very much an open question for this team right now. As bad as this was tonight, you still, I think it could actually get worse,
Yeah.
potentially,
Mhm.
unfortunately. So I guess we'll see whether that happens or not. But if this isn't rock bottom, you can see it from here. That's for sure.
No doubt about it. That'll do it. 69-46 Michigan. IU's lost now 6 straight to Michigan. That's the longest skid against the Wolverines in the series history. It was the worst loss to Michigan at home. I think even Bob Hamill said this was maybe the first time Indiana's ever been down 17 points to start a game at Assembly Hall. So, real just bad night for Indiana basketball. That's
really bad. Embarrassing. Definitely embarrassing on all counts. And with that, Mike's going to Rutgers. I'm not going to Rutgers.
It gets even worse. Thanks, guys.